Chosen one, listen closely. What you are about to hear is not random. If this message has reached you today, understand one thing. God has been watching you in silence. While others broke, you stayed strong. While others complained, you kept moving. And while the world thought you were struggling, God was actually testing your heart. This wasn't any ordinary test. It was the hardest test of your life. A test that measured your patience, your character, your faith, and your hidden strength. You didn't even realize it, but every night you cried, every day you kept going, every moment you refused to quit, God counted it. And today, heaven has confirmed it. You passed, not by force, not by luck, but the right way. Your honesty, your loyalty, your pure heart. This is what qualified you. Now the shift begins. Your name is rising. Your destiny is unlocking. And what's coming next will not make sense to the people who doubted you. Before you move forward in this video, do 3 things so that your energy aligns with God's blessing. Like this video, comment, "Thank you, God, for guiding me through every test," and subscribe so heaven knows you are ready for the next chapter. You passed the test because you stayed kind, even when life wasn't. Sometimes the hardest battles are not the ones happening around you, but the ones happening inside you. And you went through one of the toughest battles a human heart can face. Staying kind when life was anything but kind to you. There were moments when people you trusted hurt you deeply, when people you loved didn't value you, when people took advantage of your softness, and when life threw challenges at you that felt unfair and uncalled for. Anyone else in your place could have turned cold, bitter, or revengeful, but you didn't. You chose kindness, even when kindness didn't come back to you. That is something only a chosen soul can do. God sees what people don't. He sees the moments you cried silently, but still treated others with respect. He sees the moments you were exhausted, but still stayed patient. He sees the moments when you had every reason to give up on goodness, but you chose the harder path, to remain gentle. That is why this test was not simple. It was designed to bring out your true nature, to show heaven the purity of your heart. And you proved it brilliantly. In a world where many people respond to pain with anger, where they build walls instead of bridges, where they shut down instead of opening up, you stood different. Your pain didn't make you cruel. It made you stronger, wiser, and more understanding. You didn't let darkness enter your heart, even though life tried to push it inside, again and again. God watched how you responded, not when everything was easy, but when everything was frustrating, confusing, or hurtful. That's the real test, how you act when your heart is breaking. And you passed with grace. Your kindness wasn't weakness, it was power. It showed that your heart is guided by something higher than the world's behavior. It showed that your soul is connected to God in a way most people don't understand. You didn't let negativity change your identity. Instead, you let your goodness become your strength. You kept loving, giving, supporting, and caring even when you received nothing in return. That kind of heart is rare. That kind of heart is noticed by heaven. Because of this, God is now preparing to return everything you gave, multiplied. The love you shared, the loyalty you offered, the patience you practiced, none of it is wasted. Your kindness planted seeds, and those seeds are now ready to bloom in your life. People may not have appreciated you in the moment, but God did. And He is the one who rewards in the most unexpected ways. You didn't fail because someone hurt you. You succeeded because you didn't let it corrupt your spirit. And that is why you are chosen. Not because you're perfect, but because in a world that tried to harden you, you remained soft. In a world that tried to break you, you remained whole. In a world that tried to change you, you remained you. And that is exactly what makes you divine, rare, and ready for blessings that match the purity of your heart. You didn't break when everything around you was falling apart. There comes a time in everyone's life when everything feels like it's collapsing at the same time. You went through that season. You faced moments where nothing seemed stable. Your work, your relationships, your finances, your confidence, everything felt shaken. You woke up on some days wondering how you would even make it through. Your mind was tired, your heart was tired, even your soul felt drained. But here's the truth. Even in that heavy, confusing phase, you didn't break. Yes, you were shaken. Yes, you cried. Yes, you felt lost. But you didn't fall apart the way life expected you to. Many people only see the outside version of strength, the smile, the way you handle things. But they don't know the battles you fought silently inside your mind. You had nights where sleep didn't come. You had days where the smallest tasks felt impossible. You felt like everything was slipping out of your hands. But even then, even at your lowest, you kept putting one foot in front of the other. One small step, one small decision, one small moment of courage at a time. That's how you survived. God wasn't testing your comfort. He was testing your spirit. He wanted to see if you would still trust Him when the blessings weren't visible. And you did. When your plans failed, you didn't completely give up on yourself. When people disappointed you, you didn't start hating life. When money was tight, when emotions were heavy, when the future seemed blurry, you kept going anyway. This kind of strength doesn't come from the body, it comes from the soul. You didn't break because you were stubborn. You didn't continue because of pride. You kept moving because something inside you whispered, "This is not the end for you. Something better is waiting ahead." Even when you could not see any path forward, you held on to that little light inside your heart. That inner voice was God Himself, guiding you. Life pushed you to your limits, but instead of collapsing, you adapted. You learned to be patient. You learned to trust the timing, even when the timing felt painfully slow. You learned to breathe through the chaos instead of running from it. And most importantly, you learned to rely on God more than ever before. That trust is what kept you from falling apart. Other people, if they had gone through the same situations, would have given up halfway. They would have let fear take over, but you didn't. You stood tall even when your knees were shaking. You walked forward even when the road was rough. You held on even when everything in your life seemed stuck. And now, because of that strength, God is ready to shift your life in ways that will shock you. The blessings coming your way are not random. They are a direct result of your endurance. You passed a test most people fail. You showed God that you are ready, mature, and spiritually strong. And the reward for not breaking is that your new chapter will be stronger, brighter, and more stable than anything you lost. Your survival was not an accident. It was proof. Proof that you are chosen. Proof that your spirit is unbreakable. Proof that your destiny is bigger than your struggles. And now, your breakthrough is not just coming. It's already moving toward you. You chose growth instead of revenge. One of the biggest signs of a chosen soul is how they respond when they are hurt. Anyone can be kind when life is easy, but true character is revealed when someone breaks your heart, disrespects you, cheats you, or tries to pull you down. Most people react instantly, They fight back, argue loudly, expose the other person, or plan revenge. But you didn't choose that path. Even though you were deeply hurt, even though you had every reason to respond, you stayed calm. You stayed silent. And instead of focusing on them, you focused on yourself. That decision alone showed God that you are not ordinary. Your silence was not weakness. It was wisdom. You understood something many people never understand, that reacting to negativity keeps you stuck in the same low energy as the person who hurt you. Fighting back would only drain you. Revenge would only distract you. You realized that giving attention to someone who tried to break you gives them power, and you refused to hand over your peace like that. So you chose growth. You chose to work on your mind, your heart, your future, your healing. You kept your dignity intact. People may have thought you were quiet because you were scared or confused, but God knows the truth. You were quiet because you were growing. Your silence was not empty. It was productive. In that silence, you reflected, you learned, you healed, you built yourself stronger than before. And most importantly, you trusted that God sees what you cannot, and He handles what you shouldn't. That trust is what separates chosen ones from the rest. You could have picked revenge, but you chose peace. You could have exposed people, but you chose self-respect. You could have argued endlessly, but you chose to walk away with grace. That kind of emotional control is rare. It shows a maturity that only comes from spiritual depth. You didn't want to win the argument. You wanted to win your future. And that's exactly what God honors. By not reacting, you broke a cycle. You refused to repeat the same patterns that hurt you. Instead of carrying bitterness, you released the situation. Instead of letting anger harden your heart, you let the pain make you wiser. That choice opened a new path for you, a path where you are no longer held back by negative people or negative emotions. And God saw all of it. He saw that you didn't let your ego lead. He saw that you didn't let hatred poison your heart. He saw that you chose a higher road even when the lower road was easier. That's why your blessings are protected. That's why your growth is accelerating. When you choose peace over drama, God takes over the battle. When you choose healing over revenge, God prepares the blessing. When you choose silence over noise, God speaks loudly through your results. Your victory will not come through arguments. It will come through transformation. And soon, the same people who tried to break you will see your rise and wonder how you did it. They won't realize that your silence was your strength, and your growth was your revenge. You passed the test beautifully, not by fighting, but by elevating. And that's what makes you truly chosen. You walked alone, but you still walked forward. There are phases in life where you look around and realize you're standing by yourself. Not because you wanted it that way, but because the people you thought would support you simply didn't show up. Some didn't understand your pain, some didn't care enough, and some just weren't meant to stay. Those moments feel the heaviest. When you're hurting and there's no one to comfort you. When you're confused and there's no one to guide you. But even in that loneliness, you didn't stop. You kept moving forward, one small effort at a time. That took incredible strength, even if you don't give yourself credit for it. Most people need someone to lean on. They need validation, encouragement, or a hand to pull them up. But you didn't have that luxury. You woke up on days with zero motivation and still pushed yourself. You talked yourself out of negative thoughts. You carried your own emotional weight. You stood up after every fall without waiting for someone to help you. That kind of inner strength doesn't come naturally. It's built through experience, through pain, through long nights where you had no one to talk to except God. You were forced to grow in silence. You had to learn how to calm yourself when anxiety hit. You had to learn how to trust your own decisions when no one else was guiding you. You had to heal wounds no one even knew you had. And in that process, you became someone powerful, someone who doesn't break easily, someone who doesn't depend on others for strength, someone who has learned to hold their own soul together. God saw every bit of that loneliness. He saw how you wiped your own tears, how you encouraged yourself when no one else did, how you kept going when every part of you wanted to stop. This season of walking alone wasn't punishment. It was preparation. It was God shaping you into a version of yourself that is unshakable. The truth is, if you had people supporting you, they would have tried to take credit for your success later. They would have said, "You made it because of us." But God wanted the victory to belong only to you and Him. So He removed certain people, created distance, and allowed isolation to teach you endurance. He wanted you to become so strong alone that when the blessing arrives, it becomes obvious that it was your faith and your persistence that carried you through. Walking alone made you independent. It sharpened your instincts, increased your confidence, and deepened your connection with God. You no longer need constant reassurance or approval from others. You've learned how to trust yourself. You've learned how to trust the journey. And you've learned that solitude can be a blessing, disguised as emptiness. All the quiet days, all the silent nights, all the moments when you felt unseen, those were the moments that built you. They created a strength inside you that can't be shaken by people, situations, or challenges. You didn't just survive loneliness, you transformed in it. And now, because you walked alone, God is about to send you into a season where you will no longer have to do everything by yourself. The blessing coming your way will be big, undeniable, and only yours, because the strength you built alone is something no one can ever take credit for. You trusted God, even when nothing was changing. One of the hardest things a person can ever do is keep believing when absolutely nothing around them gives a reason to. You went through a phase where life felt stuck, every plan delayed, every opportunity blocked, every prayer unanswered. Days felt slow, nights felt heavy, and your heart quietly wondered, when will my turn come? But even in that silent struggle, you held on to something stronger than your circumstances. You held on to faith. You could have lost hope. You could have given up on your dreams. You could have stopped praying because nothing seemed to be happening. But you didn't. Somewhere inside you, a small voice kept whispering, "Keep going. God hasn't forgotten you." That inner voice is what carried you forward even when your reality looked the same day after day. This kind of faith is not ordinary. It is rare, powerful, and precious to God. Most people trust God when life is smooth, but trusting God when everything is falling apart, that's spiritual maturity. That's the real test, and you passed it without even realizing it. You kept believing that one day things would shift. You kept your heart soft instead of bitter. You kept praying even when your prayers seemed to disappear into silence. You kept showing up for life even when you were tired of waiting. God was watching all of this, not to punish you, but to prepare you. He needed to see if your trust was conditional or unconditional, if you would still believe when you couldn't see any progress, if you would still stay loyal when the blessing was taking longer than expected. And you proved that your faith wasn't weak, it wasn't fake, and it wasn't temporary. It was real, steady, and deep. You didn't know it, but during that silent season, God was strengthening you. He was building endurance, shaping your mindset, and teaching you patience. He was removing what wasn't meant for you and aligning what was. Just because you didn't see movement didn't mean nothing was happening. God works behind the scenes, and your loyalty during that unseen work is what unlocked the miracle that's coming now. The beautiful thing is this: your faith stayed alive even when your heart was hurting. You still said, "Maybe not today, but someday God will show up for me." That single line is what kept your destiny alive. This is why things are about to change suddenly. God loves rewarding people who trust Him without evidence, without clarity, and without instant results. Because you stayed loyal in the waiting, you're about to be blessed in the open. The doors that stayed closed are going to unlock one after another. The opportunities that were stuck are going to move in your direction. The breakthroughs that felt impossible are already being prepared. God is shifting everything now, not because your life was perfect, but because your faith remained strong in the imperfection. You trusted Him when nothing made sense. You trusted Him when everything felt delayed. You trusted Him even when your own heart had doubts. And that trust is exactly what pushed you into your new season. You protected your heart instead of pretending everything was fine. One of the bravest things you ever did was allow yourself to be human. In a world where everyone is busy pretending they are okay, pretending they are strong, pretending they don't feel anything, you chose honesty. You didn't put on a fake smile just to look strong. You didn't hide your tears out of shame. You didn't act like everything was perfect when your heart was hurting. That honesty is not weakness, it is maturity. People often think strength means acting like nothing can touch you, but the truth is, pretending only buries the pain deeper. And buried pain becomes heavy. It eats you from the inside. But you didn't do that. You faced your emotions head on. You cried when you needed to cry. You took breaks when your soul needed rest. You allowed yourself to feel the weight instead of running away from it. That is real strength. Feeling deeply, yet choosing to rise again. God gave you emotional battles not to break you, but to teach you who you really are. He wanted you to understand your triggers, your wounds, your patterns, and your emotional limits. He wanted you to build a heart that is strong, but not hardened, soft, but not weak. Every tear you shed, every moment you sat with your pain, every night you tried to calm your own heart, it was shaping you into someone wiser and spiritually stronger. You didn't numb your feelings. You didn't distract yourself with lies. You embraced your truth, even when it hurt. And that honesty is what healed you. You learned that ignoring pain doesn't make it go away. It just delays healing. You also learned that vulnerability is not something to be ashamed of. It is courage. It is purity. It is real. You protected your heart by giving it the care it deserved. When you felt overwhelmed, you didn't force yourself to act normal. You listened to your inner voice. You gave yourself time. You allowed yourself to process things instead of stuffing them inside. That kind of emotional awareness is rare. Most people escape their emotions. You face them. Most people complain and collapse. You learned and grew. Because of this, you became calmer than before. You stopped reacting quickly. You started understanding yourself better. You became more patient with your own journey. Emotional healing didn't just fix your heart, it sharpened your spirit. Now you see people more clearly. You read situations with more wisdom. You can sense danger, manipulation, and dishonesty faster. That's the gift of healing. It makes your intuition louder and your soul stronger. God saw the effort you put into healing yourself. He saw how you tried to unlearn old patterns, how you broke cycles, how you refused to let emotional wounds control your future. You didn't run from the pain. You sat with it until it taught you what you needed to learn. That is why you passed this test. Not by pretending to be strong, but by being real, honest, and brave. And now, because you've healed from the inside, you are ready for blessings that match your new, stronger heart. You didn't let negative people drag you down. One of the smartest and strongest decisions you ever made was choosing yourself over the people who drained you. Life brought certain people into your path, not to support you, but to test you. Some betrayed you when you needed them most. Some misunderstood you even when your intentions were pure. Some walked away without explanation. And some stayed, but only to bring drama, gossip, jealousy, or negativity into your life. At first it hurt. It made you question yourself. It made you wonder why people changed, why relationships faded, why loyalty didn't stay. But with time, you realized something important. God wasn't punishing you. He was protecting you. God allowed those people to show their true colors. Not so you would break, but so you would finally choose yourself. He wanted to see whether you would shrink yourself to keep them close, or rise higher, even if it meant standing alone. And you made the right choice. You didn't let them drag you back into old patterns. You didn't chase anyone. You didn't beg for attention, approval, or love. You quietly stepped back. You got silent. You protected your peace, like it was sacred, because it is. This wasn't easy. Walking away from familiar people takes courage. Cutting ties with toxic habits takes strength. Choosing distance over drama takes maturity. You could have argued, you could have fought, you could have tried to prove your worth, but you didn't. Instead of lowering your vibration to match theirs, you raised your standards. You let go without hatred. You moved on without explanations. You saved your energy for better things, better people, and a better future. That decision showed God everything about your character. You didn't let negativity trap you. You didn't let jealousy affect you. You didn't let someone else's bitterness turn you bitter. You didn't let their noise distract you from your purpose. You learned to ignore, to detach, to walk away. You learned that not everyone deserves a seat at your table. You learned that familiarity doesn't equal loyalty. And most importantly, you learned that peace is more valuable than people who disturb it. By choosing peace, you passed a test many people fail. Some people cling to toxic connections because they fear losing company. But you chose solitude over chaos. You chose growth over gossip. You chose healing over hurt. That choice alone showed God that you are ready for a new level of blessings, relationships, and opportunities, because God cannot bring new blessings into a heart that is full of old negativity. Now, because you stood your ground, God is sending new people into your life. People who match your energy, your intention, and your kindness. People who respect you. People who bring calmness, not chaos. People who don't compete, but support. People who don't drain, but uplift. You didn't let negative people drag you down, and that single decision has changed the direction of your entire destiny. You proved that you're not afraid to outgrow anyone who refuses to grow with you. And that maturity is what prepares you for everything God is about to give you next. You became stronger, wiser, and more aligned than ever before. The final and most powerful test you faced wasn't about surviving heartbreak, loneliness, delays, or betrayal. It was about transformation. God wanted to see what you would become after everything life threw at you. Would you turn bitter, or better, weaker or stronger, lost or awakened. And you proved that no matter how hard the journey was, it could not break you. It could only evolve you. Every challenge shaped you. Every lesson changed you. Every setback pushed you closer to your purpose. You didn't just survive what tried to destroy you, you outgrew it. Today, you are not the same person you were a year ago, 6 months ago, or even last month. Your thinking is sharper. Your intuition is stronger. Your boundaries are clearer. You no longer entertain what drains you. You no longer beg for what you deserve. You no longer chase people or situations that lead nowhere. You have become someone who moves with intention, clarity, and confidence. Your strength now is different. It's quiet, stable, calm. You don't break easily. You don't react instantly. You don't get shaken by small issues or negative people. You've learned to breathe, observe, and respond wisely instead of emotionally. That's a level of maturity people gain only after going through deep soul lessons. And you earned it. Your wisdom also grew. Not from books, not from advice, but from experience. Real, painful, eye-opening experience. You learned who you can trust, what you should avoid, and what truly matters. You learned that not every loss is a loss. Some are hidden blessings. Not every delay is a denial. Some are divine timings. And not every ending is the end. Some endings are doorways to a bigger beginning. That wisdom is what aligns you with your true destiny. Your energy shifted too. You no longer match with people or environments that once felt normal. Your soul has leveled up. You can sense someone's intentions quicker. You can feel when something is wrong. You can sense when God is guiding you in a new direction. That spiritual alignment is the greatest reward of your inner growth. When your energy rises, everything in your life starts rising with it. Your relationships, opportunities, finances, health, and peace. And because you passed the test of transformation, God is unlocking doors that were once sealed shut. Doors you prayed for, doors you cried for, doors you waited for. Now they are opening, not because you forced them, but because you became the person capable of walking through them. The version of you today is strong enough, wise enough, and aligned enough to handle the blessings that are coming. Your new chapter is not just about receiving blessings, it's about becoming the blessing. You are entering a season where everything will start making sense. The pain had a purpose. The loneliness had a lesson. The silence had a message. The delays had direction. And now, all the dots will connect in front of your eyes. You passed the final test, not by being perfect, but by being patient, kind, faithful, and willing to grow. That is why your next season will be different. The test is over. The blessing begins. And this time, nothing can stop what God has already planned for you.